Okay, everyone here. So this is the third episode of our Wyckoff trading mentorship. Okay, in this mentorship session, we're gonna discuss about base and code currency. Okay, so let me read through this entire document, and I will explain you what does the base currency and the code currency mean. Okay, or the base commodity and the code currency mean. So base. So these market participants interact within the forex and CFD market, contributing to liquidity, price discovery, and overall market dynamics. Okay, so whatever market participants we have, what they do, they contribute to the liquidity, price discovery, and the overall market dynamics. Understanding the base currencies and code currencies is an essential in the forex and CFDs market as they form the foundation of currency trading. Here is an explanation of these concepts. First of all, we're going to cover the base commodity. Okay, the base commodity is the first commodity listed in a commodity pair or CFD. Okay, it represents the commodity being bought or sold in the transaction. In a commodity pair, the base commodity pair determines the units of measurement or denomination for the exchange rate. For example, in the XAU USD, which is gold dollar commodity pair, where the XAU is the base commodity, it is actually a gold, and one XAU represents the base unit of exchange rate against the quoted currency of US dollar. Okay. Now the base currency is the first currency listed in a currency pair or CFD contract. It represents the currency being bought or sold in the transaction. In a currency pair, the base currency determines the units of measurements or denomination for the exchange rate. For example, in the euro US dollar currency pair, where EUR is the base currency, one EUR represents the base unit of exchange against the quoted currency, US dollar. Now we have a code currency. The code currency is the second currency listed in a currency pair or CFD contract. It represents the currency in which the price of the base currency is quoted. Okay. In a currency pair, the code currency indicates the value of one unit of the base currency. Okay. For example, in the euro US dollar currency pair, where US dollar is the code currency, the exchange rate indicates how much US dollar is required to purchase one unit of EUR or euro. Okay. Then we have the key points here. Base currency or commodity and code currency work together to express the exchange rate between two currencies. Okay, the value of the base currency and commodity is always one unit, while the value of the code currency fluctuates based on changes in the exchange rate. Okay, the currency or commodity pairs are quoted in terms of how much of the code currency is needed to purchase one unit of the base currency or commodity. In the forex market, currency pairs are always quoted in pairs with the base currency first and the code currency second. In the CFDs market, commodity pairs are always quoted in pairs with the base commodity first and the code currency second. Understanding the base currency or commodity and the code currency is fundamental for interpreting exchange rates, calculating profits and losses, and executing trades in the forex and CFDs market. Okay. Now, this is a figure here. The figure given below demonstrates the way to identify the base currency or the commodity and the code currency. Okay, you have to read through this figure in order to understand it. Okay, all right. So let me explain you on a whiteboard. Okay, so this is a whiteboard here. So let's suppose we have a currency pair like euro US dollar. So when we are trading between euro and US dollar, when we are trading on the exchange rate of euro US dollar, we can write euro US dollar in two ways. Number one way is you can write euro US dollar, and the second way is you can omit the forward slash and you can just write down like this, euro US dollar. Okay, so these both ways are acceptable. Okay, these both ways are acceptable. Now, what is the base currency here? Remember that the first currency in the euro US dollar, we have to highlight the first currency. Okay, the first currency, which is this one. Okay, this is known as base currency. Remember that the first currency in the exchange rate is known as the base currency. Okay. All right. This is also base currency. Okay. And the second currency in the exchange rate, which is US dollar, this is known as a code currency. Okay. This is known as a code currency. All right. This is a second currency in a trading pair or in the exchange rate. Remember this rule, how to identify the base currency and the code currency. The base currency is always the first currency in the exchange rate or a trading pair, and the code currency is the second currency uh, in the currency pair or the exchange rate. Remember this rule, okay? This is a way to identify the base and code currency. Now, once you have a euro dollar exchange rate, for example, we have a value of euro dollar. For example, let me give you an example here. Uh, the value of the euro US dollar exchange rate is 1.2, 1.156. Okay. So 1.5. So this is the value of the euro exchange rate or euro US dollar exchange rate. Okay. All right. So what does this mean? This means that, okay, and there is another rule. Remember that the base currency is always 1 unit. Okay, the base currency, which is this one, it is always 1 unit. Remember this. This is a very important rule. 1 unit. All right, and this is okay. The value of the code currency is always the exchange rate. Okay, remember this. So I'm giving you an example of a euro US dollar here. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that 1.156 euro USD exchange rate means, what does this mean? It's very simple. 1 euro is equals to 1.156 USD. Remember this, okay? Remember this. Similarly, if we have, let's suppose, uh, we have USD JPY pair. Okay, USD JPY pair. So what is the base currency here? This is base currency. Okay, and this is code currency. All right, this is base currency, and this is code currency. All right, and we have an exchange rate of US dollar. So let's suppose the exchange rate of USD JPY is 149 USD slash JPY. What does this mean? What does this mean? This means that 1 US dollar, as I told you that the unit of the base currency is always 1. So we will take 1 USD is equals to 149 JPY. Okay, this is what the exchange rate determines. Okay, let me give an example here from the real life charts, from the real life examples. So let's suppose we have a USD to PKR exchange rate. Okay, so the USD to exchange rate PKR, USD PKR exchange rate is 280.98. This is an example, okay, which we have taken from the Google. So what does this show? Let's suppose we will just copy it, okay, and we will go to the whiteboard, and we have an example of slash PKR. This is an exchange rate of US dollar and PKR. So what does this mean? As I told you that the unit of the base currency, which is US dollar, is always 1, and the value of the PKR or the code currency is the value of the exchange rate. So what does this show? What does this mean? This means that 1 US dollar is actually equals to 280.98 US PKR. All right. Remember this, okay? Let's suppose I give you another example. Okay, let's suppose we take Malaysia, USD to MYR. Okay, so USD to MYR is 4.79. So what does this mean? What does this show? This shows that as I told you earlier, that if we have a 4.79 exchange rate of USD MYR, which is Malaysian ringgit, this shows that, okay, as I told you earlier, that the unit of the base currency is always one, and the value of the quote currency is the value of the exchange rate. Okay, so this is one, and the value of this one is the value of the exchange rate. Okay, so how are we going to write it? We're going to write it like this: one US dollar, which is a base currency, because US dollar is a base currency, is equals to 4.79 MYR. This is how you should interpret the quote and bait currencies. Okay. All right. So here I've given you an example of the currency. Now let's suppose I have to give an example of the CFD. How I gonna do that? Okay. So I'm gonna remove it all. So let's suppose I have a commodity CFD, which is XAU. Now, XAU is actually what? XAU is a chemical symbol. It is a chemical symbol for gold. Okay. All right. And we have another currency. We are trading against the US dollar. Let's suppose. So this is what? This is a currency. Okay. So if we have the exchange rate, let's suppose we have the exchange rate of XAU or slash US dollar. Remember that we can also write it like this: XAU USD. Okay, both ways are acceptable. Okay, it's up to us if we omit the forward slash or not. Okay, so both ways are acceptable. You can write XAU USD, or you can write XAU forward slash US dollar. Okay, both ways are acceptable to represent the exchange rate of gold and US dollar. Okay, so that's it. So what is a base currency, or what is a base commodity here? This is a base commodity here. Why? We call it as a base commodity, not currency. Why? Okay, why we call it as a base commodity and not currency? Okay, the reason is that gold is not a currency. Gold is actually a commodity. So that's why we call it as a base commodity. Okay, and this one is what? This one, which is the second part. Okay, the first the first commodity of the CFD is actually a base commodity, and the second currency of of the the commodity pair is actually a quote currency. So this is what? This is quote. Now tell me, US dollar is a currency or commodity? US dollar is a currency. So we will write down it as currency. Okay. Remember that we don't write currency over here because gold is not a currency. Gold is a commodity. Okay. So let's suppose the value of gold is, and I tell you one reason that, okay, one thing very clearly, that the base commodity or base currency is always one unit. Remember that. And the quote currency is actually the value of the exchange rate. Okay. The value of the quote currency is the value of the exchange rate. Let's suppose we have an exchange rate of 1900 XAU slash US dollar. What does this mean? As I told you that this is a base currency. Okay, this is a base currency. So when this is a base currency, or sorry, this is a base commodity. So we know the value of the base commodity is what? 1. Okay. And this is a quote currency. So the value of the quote currency is actually the value of the exchange rate. So this is so the value of the quote currency would be the value of the exchange rate. All right. This is pretty much simple. That's it. So how are we gonna interpret it? Okay. So this is the value of our exchange rate, gold US dollar exchange rate. So we will write it down as the value of the base commodity is always 1. So we will say 1 XAU is equals to 1900 US dollar. Okay. Now, as we know that the value of the quote currency is equals to the exchange rate. So 1 XAU is equals to 1900 US dollar. I hope you are clear about base commodity or base currency and the quote currency. All right. So that's it for this video. This was a part 2 of the video. Okay. And if you want to see the document here, all right, I can show you. I have explained everything here, all right? And you can just understand it, okay? You can understand it. Okay, I have given you the example as well, so that you can get a clear idea about base and code currency. And we also know that the value of the base currency is always 1 unit, and the value of the quote currency is the value of the exchange rate. Similarly, the value of the base commodity is always 1 unit, and the value of the quote currency is the value of the exchange rate. Okay, that's it. That's it for this video. This was episode 3. So you have to read through this document, you have to understand this video, and then you have to practice it. Okay, that's it. So this is the conclusion of the episode number 3.